Have you ever seen what happened to an animal that has been institutionalized and then they're put back in their natural habitat? They don't survive. There's only a certain time period, depending on the animal you have, where they're never going to be able to make it out on their own. It's institutionalized, right? That's what corporate America does for you. People always talk about, oh man, I wish I had a bigger salary. But as the esteemed scholar, the notorious B.I.G. said, mo money, mo problems. Because what happens is you get used to it. You start building golden handcuffs at your fancy zoo.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth-building strategies. Discover how to fast-track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
Thank you once again for joining another episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. I'm your host and your favorite silverback, Sylvania Harrod. And on today's episode, I want to talk to you about how you've been raised to be institutionalized. So I was chatting with a buddy earlier today who came to the realization that he is just beyond frustrated, right? He hit the wall. He hit those moments. And I know this place very well because for me, I would hit the wall and then I would just kind of like have this idea, have these spurts, but then life would start happening. And I would go back and go through the process of being like, oh man, I'm so grateful, have an attitude of gratitude, and all the positive affirmation BS that happens to be out there. Because anytime you have to convince yourself to do something, you got to ask yourself why, right? Like I understand it for a hard workout and going through and the benefits you're going to receive on the opposite side of it. I get it from an exercise while you're going through because you're getting health. But at the same time, I would ask myself, what emotion is really driving that action? Is it a place of like fear? Because fear is normal. That's just something you're about to do something difficult. I get that. But that should not be an everyday experience where it's become, at least here in the US, like a normal notion to actually hate your job. That's the norm, y'all. You ever take a second and step back and be like, hold up, so everybody hates what they do and this is what adulthood is supposed to be? When did that get normalized? Like, when did it get to a place where it's just like loathing what you do becomes an everyday reality? Now, me being an engineer by nature, I look at it something like a repeatable pattern. Let me ask you this question. Just look at it. For all of us parents out there, if your child was going and decided to get in a relationship and get married, and the only thing they ever told you about their spouse was how much they hated them and how poorly they treat them, and they just shared with you that level of language of this is how they treat me all the time, what would you tell that child? I'm sure you're not going to be like, just get in there, but think of all the things they provide. At least you have a roof over your house. You know, the roof over your house, like a roof over your head, you know, like at least they bring food home. That's what happens in abusive relationships, y'all. Abusive relationships all sound like that. Like, but he treats me so well. It's just when he goes ahead and he drinks that he just becomes an asshole, right? She's just that way because like she had a rough going up to bring in there. Guys, that's coping. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're not trying to cope. I'm here to bring awareness to you so that you no longer have to cope. You can actually be at a place where you stop playing defense and you start playing offense. You start driving towards the things you want in life and not just settling for the things as they show up along the way. So if we look at that example, right, and we look at that space, guess what happens when you start playing offense? Things start to happen for you. And so let's look at this relationship. This relationship is an abusive relationship. Call it what it is. It creates a false sense of security. And this is why I called it institution. Because let's look at institutions in general. Like, I used to work in prisons. So you go in prison Prisoners know, depending on where they go, when they get time to go to the yard. They know when when they get their 3 hots in a cot. They know when they're going to have ability to watch their shows, when they're going to be able to go and possibly have visitation. They get told when to wake up, when to go to bed. Okay, that's an example of institution. Let me give you another institution. One of my favorite places to go, the zoo. The zoo, you get to walk around and we get to see all these beautiful, majestic creatures in a simulated habitat. That's right, simulated habitat. So they still get to, if they're cats, they still get to climb on things and crawl on things and sharpen their claws and go through it. But they know exactly when food is coming. So they can create an element where it's like they can create their instinctual, but they're not out in the wild. Have you ever seen what happened to an animal that has been institutionalized and then they're put back in their natural habitat? They don't survive. There's only a certain time period, depending on the animal you have, where they're never going to be able to make it out on their own. It's institutionalized, right? That's what corporate America does for you. People always talk about, oh man, I wish I had a bigger salary. But as the esteemed scholar, the notorious B.I.G. said, mo money, mo problems. Because what happens is you get used to it. You start building golden handcuffs at your fancy zoo. So guess what? You go ahead, you get promoted, you get a little bit more on-target earnings, you get a little bonus, you get a commission check that comes in, and you buy that damn boat. You get that car, you buy that watch, you upgrade your family, you move to the nice neighborhood, you go through those things, right? It's just a better zoo, y'all. Just a better zoo. And so as you go through that, what happens is one day you wake up and you sit down and you go, damn. So you look forward to vacation. You go on a little vacation, you have time with the family, and then you drink your faces off. You're like, I finally get to reprieve. I finally get to relax. But as the days get closer and closer, and then you hear this term, back to reality. You know, however do you want it? However do you need it? Back to life, back to reality. That doesn't have to be the way. That's what's being institutionalized, because that's what corporate America does for you. And for most, that's fine. That's part of their journey. That's where they need to be. Like, that's the thing that they're wired to do. Kudos to you. Some animals got sick, got hurt. I saw a bald eagle when we were at the zoo in Florida, and he just had a heart wing, and they can't give him a synthetic wing. They can't give him a 3D printed wing, and he survives in there. He's not going to be able to. That's fine. But for some of us, if you're searching and you're looking and you're watching what I'm saying or listening to what I'm saying, I'm just here to awaken that voice you've been quieting, the one you don't want to listen to, the one that you hear at night, sleep with one eye open, gripping your pillow tight. That's the basis of what's going on. Start listening to that voice and create a plan. You want to know why? Because that voice may be quiet right now, but what happens when you get the, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate all your hard work. And click, your position is removed. What happens then? How do you respond? How do you show up? For me, I choose to have a plan. Love to have a plan, because that was my reality a year ago. I knew it was coming. It actually happened 6 months later than I expected it to happen. But I knew it was coming. And man, oh man, was I actually happy when it happened. Because I knew that chapter was closed. I told God, hey, if this is where you want me to be, I'm going to be there. These are the places you want me to be? Show me. Make it obvious. Make it clear to me. That was a prayer I've said. And I would say consistently, I'm here, just a servant in your army to go ahead and help encourage people. That's why I started the podcast. Because I wanted something that was easy, efficient on my time to go through, to share my journey. And if I can just help one individual, that's one more person that is living out in the jungle. The jungle has lots of uncertainty. I'm not here to sell you cupcakes and rainbows and unicorn kisses. It ain't going to be easy. But you know what it is? Anything worth having in life is not. You realize you get a different level of respect, of understanding, of like, you went through this. You made this happen, right? You're building your own destiny. Kudos to you, baby. I get it. Y'all driving Lambos who built it? Respect. Because we got to think about it. That is how it occurs, y'all. You have to make choices. You have to align with them. One of the best things I ever did in my life was invest in personal development because I've always been an investor. As an investor, I invest in myself and I invest in tangible access, the things that I teach you about. But you have to invest. You have to get in the circles. You have to get in the room. When everybody's going left, go right. I promise you that is the easiest way to reach any level of success you want to. Find out where the norm is going and go right. And typically the guys who are right, that chew crayons and do other things, are the ones who can tell you exactly, don't do that. You can do that if you want to. I wouldn't do that, player. That's where we're at. That's why we're building this community. That's why I'm doing things for you. That's why I'm figuring out the necessary operators that are going to be required. So you don't even got to be in the space of actually going ahead and operating, bruh. Don't do that. I promise you, I'll save you a lifetime of pain because it's an illusion. But if you choose to go down that route, just know you have conscious choice. You can't blame me for not informing you. That's the beautiful thing about when you break those patterns of an institution. It feels weird at first because you programmed your brain to think a particular way. Think about it. As babies, you want to set some type of routine for them. Same as puppies, right? Pattern, routine. They have to go to the bathroom at the same time. I'm not saying institutions are bad. There's no such thing as good or bad. There's just outcomes that occur from certain decisions. So if you're willing and ready, as I told my friend to leave that institution, call me, DM me. Let's set up a call. First one's on the house. Second one, respect it. Pay it. And I don't say that because I'm like, oh man, like we're capitalists, gal. There is direct correlation to investments and returns. And if you want to get a certain level of return, be willing. Nothing in life comes for free. And God, if you have to get it for completely for free, y'all, there's something you're going to pay for when it comes to the education. Because the most important variable in life is time. Time. That's what it is. So I want you to know that. You got a choice. Wealthy people pay to increase their time. That's what all this is for. Time to choose what you want to do. I would much rather be in a space where I have the full rights to my own levels of autonomy, just make a little slightly less, than get paid double to go ahead and build somebody else's dream. So with that being said, as always, y'all, let me land the plane. You've already been conditioned to be in an institution. The only way you're going to break free of that institution is there's 3 things you need in general. You need a plan of what you're going to do. You need a community of people that can go with you. And you need a mentor that will show you the ways of exactly what is possible for you. So as always, my friends, stay hungry, stay humble, and stay grateful. And until the next episode, cheers.